After Shark, a live stream about all things pop culture. I'm Final Monkey.
And I'm Caleb.
Today, we are going to be talking about some of our favorite Christmas specials that most people don't think about. You got your classics, you got your Wonderful Life, Frosty, Rudolph, Charlie Brown Christmas. But these are the ones that are actually really good that just people should check out. So we'll talk about those a little bit later. But first, we get some news. But before we even do that, Caleb, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. We are coming up on Christmas. You know what's weird? I remember as a kid, uh, especially living up in New Jersey, where um, you know how like you watch your Christmas specials and everything just seems to be really festive.
Mm-hmm.
In places, and I assume this is the same in Texas, but in places like Louisville, not too much like that. But in New Jersey, oh man, it was so much like that. Um, and so, you know, as a kid, for me, Christmas season started probably after. Well, not for me because you had Thanksgiving and then my birthday and then Christmas, but just kind of like the Christmas aura started like right after Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and so there was always kind of like a build up. Now it's just like Christmas sneaks up on me. This is growing up, I guess.
Well, I find that when Halloween hits, if you listen to Nightmare Before Christmas soundtrack, it's kind of the perfect like transition from Halloween and into the Christmas mood. And that's I used to do that. I did do it this year, but that is something fun to start listening to around October, November. It kind
Yeah,
of
yeah.
builds and builds. So
I've always said, and if I ever become one of those people who's gonna like decorate. I mean, I live in an apartment right now, but if you ever decorate the outside of your house for Christmas, I feel like at the beginning of October, just decorate uh, in Nightmare Before Christmas, and then you can have that up for
yeah,
three
just leave it up.
months. Just leave it.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, we're coming up on it. You guys aren't coming up here this year, right?
No, we might come up for spring break. We're still debating. Um,
Gotcha.
yeah. So
We'll do like an in person uh live stream. It'll be weird.
it will be weird, but yeah, that'd be totally awesome. Um, all right, anything else or good?
No, no, that's really it. I guess it's just kind of getting ready for the next year. Just making sure that uh I am staying healthy and maybe getting a little bit healthier. This year, I definitely intend on uh, my resolution this year is more of an idea than an actual thing. It's just structure. I feel like I'd like to have like things scheduled out better on my end instead of just kind of like flying by the seat of my pants through life. So that if we're talking about resolutions, that'll be my resolution. So I guess at this point, 2 weeks, I'm just kind of getting ready for
Hmm.
structure.
Yeah. So speaking of New Year's, and next week is Christmas, and the week after is New Year. So there probably won't be any shows for the next 2 weeks.
Gotcha.
So I'll probably go ahead and say that when we do come back, we'll do a best of 2022 show.
Okay.
We'll list our favorite movies or games or whatever from the year. So
Yeah.
um,
And at this point, a lot of my best of 22 will probably be stuff that I watched at the end of 22. I will be seeing Avatar on Christmas Day, so that'll be fun. Are you gonna be seeing Avatar as well?
since I never saw the first one, probably not. Um, oh no, I
It's
know,
one of my favorite movies.
I know. It was one of those things where something got so popular, and I was so sick of hearing about it that I vowed never to watch it. You know, just
But
one
you
of those.
watched, but you watched Endgame.
That's different. That's Thanos, buddy. That's.
By the way, I'm just gonna go ahead and just put this out right now. Endgame was never bigger than Avatar, okay? I specifically remember my Uncle Craig almost getting in a fist fight over seats for Avatar in 2009. And no,
Avatar was insane. Like everybody
I
at work
know.
would not shut up about it. Like people who do not talk about sci-fi or movies or whatever, they were just like, "Oh my gosh, have you seen Avatar? Have you seen Avatar?" And it was this fervor that I don't think I've seen since.
No,
So,
no. And so
um,
for all you MCU annoying stands out there, no, Endgame was not bigger than Avatar. Avatar is the biggest movie of all time, except for Cameron always reminds me that if you take inflation into account, Gone with the Wind, um,
oh yeah, Gone with the Wind was a monster
yeah.
hit.
But other than that, Avatar.
Same with Godfather. You don't know how big some of those movies were from before you were born, and
Right.
you just see pictures of people like lined up for blocks, and you're like, oh yeah, I guess that doesn't happen that much anymore.
Well, and like, I mean, I was alive for Phantom Menace. I saw Phantom Menace twice in the theaters, and I'm sure it was bigger than I remember. I genuinely don't remember because I was like 3 or 4.
Yeah, a lot of people were were in delusion about that film. Like, well, it says Star Wars, it's got to be good, and I don't hate Phantom Menace as much as other people do, but I think people are like, I think it was Paul Shear who said, "Yeah, when I saw it like the 12th time, I started thinking maybe this movie's not actually good."
I'm trying to remember where I have my rankings at. I think it is my second least favorite, but I love them all. Um,
Yeah, it's probably like fourth or fifth least favorite on mine.
yeah,
Uh, yeah.
let's just go ahead and get this out of the way because I'm genuinely curious. What is your number one least favorite?
Oh, Last Jedi.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, here's the weird thing about Last Jedi. I actually like about half that movie. I think half that movie is really good, but the other half is so unforgivable that it destroys all any goodwill I have towards it.
I don't. I feel like we've talked about this before, but I do you like. So you like Rise of Skywalker more?
That's not to say it's a good movie. Just Rise of
I
Skywalker. I wanted to flip off the movie when that last scene. I'm just like, screw you, movie,
so yes.
screw you.
If Phantom Menace is my second least favorite, then Rise of Skywalker is my least favorite. I love them all. It's Star Wars. I'm a sucker. It's like Weezer. I'm ride or die for all
you
you
haven't
SNL people out there.
you haven't gotten jaded like me in my old age. Where I'm like, no, those suck. So
You know what? I think I'm jaded, but in a different reason. I feel like I crap on Kevin Feige enough that I'm jaded.
yeah, um,
But
it's weird.
anyway,
Yeah, and I've gotten to a point like of Marvel where I'm like, yeah, I'll give you Guardians 3 and Deadpool 3, but I'm kind of out at Marvel. But that's a whole nother conversation. So how am I doing? I'm doing
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Uh, I have been struggling with this stupid inner ear infection that I cannot shake, and it's driving me crazy. So I've got that going on, but I finally sat down and read all the Mirage Turtle comic books I have, Ninja
Okay.
Turtles. And so that took me up through Return to New York, where they fight Shredder for the final time. And it was so good that now I'm like, I really should hunt down the rest of these volumes. So I saw
Which
that Half
yeah,
Price Books has them, the ultimate hardcover collections, for a pretty decent price. So I'll probably sometime early next year I'll start buying those because I've got 1, 2, and 3, and then I'm like, okay, I need 4, 5, and 6.
yeah. Which,
So
speaking of which, our audience missed the lost episode of Pop Culture Shark because after we stopped rolling last week, we stayed on for about another hour just talking turtles.
oh yeah, we definitely have to do a turtle show. Probably around February. I'm just. Oh, you know what? May not be a show for 3 weeks now. I'm thinking I've got a camping trip.
Oh,
The end. All right, we'll launch back probably. We'll have a big break here for Christmas, and then we'll come back. I forgot about that camping trip. Uh, unless
we go
Caleb wants to do a
camping a lot.
solo show, we have a men's group at church that during the fall and winter we go every other month. Um,
Okay.
and I'm trying to get my kids to go outdoors, so I'm trying to take them.
I,
Um,
let me ask you this. I feel like the younger one is more likely. Am I correct on that?
oh yeah, he's more likely to do just about anything than the older one.
It's weird because whenever they were growing up, it was really hard to tell who was going to be the more outgoing one. But now it is so obvious.
Oh yeah, yeah. My oldest son hardly had anything to do with high school, though that was largely due to COVID, and
Yeah.
that kind of screwed everything up. But my youngest is heavily involved in programs at, at school right now,
Hey,
so
that's good.
it
I
is it
I
is.
would I would I wouldn't know. I was homeschooled.
Yeah, I'm just trying to keep him from getting too overwhelmed. Don't
Yes.
spread yourself too thin.
No, very very important. I had to learn that myself because um, ever since my dad retired from being a pastor, I'd go to and I've been to several churches within the
Hmm.
past 3 years. Um, finding the right fit. And every time I spread myself too thin, I'm like, oh, I'm going to work with the youth. I'm going to work with the worship team. I'm going to work here. I'm going to work there. You got to just pick a lane.
Well, and it's a little easier for you right now because you're single.
Yeah, right.
Once you get married, have kids, all that a lot of that it gets really really hard.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah. So enjoy the freedom you have right now. You will not always have that freedom. So, all right, let's get to some news. First up, we have a new Spider-Man movie that was announced, and that is a Hypno Hustler movie. I don't know if
I
you heard about this, but
I hadn't. I'm currently looking it up,
hold on,
and
I'm gonna pull it up. Hold on, don't no no no, don't spoil it.
okay,
Don't
okay,
spoil it.
okay,
Spoil it.
okay. Not looking, not looking.
All right, because you don't know who's in it. So here we go. Donald
What?
Glover is playing Hypno Hustler.
What? This guy's supposed to be Lando. Like,
Well, maybe he'll make Hypno Hustler cool. I don't know.
I, I, oh my god! Like,
Speechless. It's great.
it's
Yeah, we communicate throughout the week, but every once in a while I'll keep something back. I'm like, no, let's like be surprised on the show because I don't want to.
oh my god! Like,
I haven't read
I,
the article. Let me see what it says here.
I've never even heard of Hypno Hustler.
He is an obscure like disco villain in the '70s, introduced in '78. Real name Antoine Desloin. Lead singer of the Mercy Killers can perform hypnosis through the help of his guitar, which he used to commit robberies.
You know what that reminds me of? Uh, you never because like I know you watch cartoons like even whenever I was growing up, but
Hmm.
Danny Phantom was not one of them, right?
Very little. I've seen a few episodes, but not really.
Okay, so there was one of these ghosts, and Danny Phantom was totally a Spider-Man ripoff. Like not even a question.
Yeah.
Um, there was a character called Ember, and she was a ghost who was a rock star, and like you know, she would be like, say my name," and so people would chant Amber at her or Ember at her concerts, and she would get more powerful the more people said her name. And that's the vibe I'm getting. I thought that was an original villain, but part of me would not be surprised if they were making Danny Phantom and they're like, "Hey, there's this hypno hustler who's like a rock star.
Hmm.
What if we do this ghost?" And they're like, "You know what? No one's ever going to hear of this villain, so
Well,
let's just do that."
there are no new ideas, so uh, yeah, I'm curious to see where this goes. This could become a smash hit, or it could be just another Morbius where it comes out no one cares.
Or it could just never come out.
That seems to be more likely. Um, there's a lot of weird things happening right now with the recession and the Hollywood studios. and all the financial crises that are crises, or how you want to say that, or
Crises.
that are happening. I would not be surprised if lots of projects get canceled, as we're seeing over at Warner Brothers, um, or changes, or even some of these studios get bought out by other studios.
Yeah. Well, and there's some, and we don't have to put a banner up for this, but there's a lot of stuff over in Lucasfilms that's like, oh man, I thought that was canceled, but then Patty Jenkins is like, no, Rogue One is still coming out,
No, that
or
is
not
not.
Rogue
That is
Rogue Squadron.
that is her trying to get it. She's like, oh crap, I just lost Wonder Woman. Hey, Lucasfilm, I'll still do that if you want me to. They're not offering that to her.
Okay.
Yeah, the kind of like The Rock saying, "Oh, Black Adam was a hit, so we're gonna do that sequel when nothing's really been announced, or
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and switch over to that since I'm bringing up DC. Um, doo, 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 Henry Cavill had made an announcement after Black Adam came out, saying that he was coming back as Superman. As
And let it be known that they told him that it was okay to announce that. He
Yeah,
was told, yes, please announce this.
yeah, because they were trying to get the numbers up for Black Adam. Because spoilers, Superman shows up in the credits. Um, so he made the announcement. Well, now that James Gunn has sit down and presented his plan, they announced that they will not be going forward with Henry Cavill as Superman. I know a lot of people right now are angry and upset over this and taking it out on James Gunn. And I'm kind of like, what was he supposed to do?
Right, right. It from my perspective, it's one of those things where it's like, I love Henry Cavill as an actor. I've loved him in everything. Like even if he's not in like great stuff, like I think he was uh good in Man of Steel. Even though Man of Steel was, kind of, average. Um, but I love Henry Cavill, and I just want to see him do well. And it's one of those things where, from Henry Cavill's side, I'm like, oh man, that's really crappy. That sucks that they did that to him. But at the same time, I also acknowledge that James Gunn is making the right decision with just
Well,
completely scrapping everything.
here's the problem. A lot of people think that the audience is smart, and most of us are pretty smart watching these. But there's a large segment that is not smart when it comes to movies. And so when you have Henry Cavill show up again as Superman, and they're like, "Oh, cool, when's Ezra Miller showing up as the Flash?" Or they'll be like, "When's Iron Man showing up?" Your audience is not as sharp as maybe you think they are, or flying as much as you think they are.
There are
Um,
some. I remember whenever the Batman came out, I had someone at work confused as to why this Riddler was so different from the Jim Carrey Riddler.
right. So the worst thing you can do is confuse your audience or send mixed signals. So like right now, I think you've got a very confused audience because you've got the Batman with the Twilight guy. I can't think of his name. And then
Pattinson.
you've got a Joker movie, Walking Phoenix. So people are like, oh, when are those two going to meet? And it's like, no, they're not going to. They're separate universes, and they're like, what? It's like, oh, well, when's that one going to meet the Henry Cavill Superman? And you're like, oh no, those are different universes. What? So you don't want to confuse your audiences. So I think the best thing to do is just cut your losses and just start a whole new universe. And I think the Flash movie kind of gives you a nice point to say, oh, look, this is when everything changes, and don't worry about any of this stuff anymore. We're going to start over.
Yeah.
Now, whether they'll do that or not, I don't know. That's still supposed to come out in June. And if I was Warner Bros., I'd just be like, release it. We can't keep screwing around with this because, yeah, Ezra Miller's been quiet for a while, but who knows how much longer that will last.
Yeah.
So, and you just got too much drama Ben Affleck's a little bit undependable. You don't know if he's going to be in rehab or not, or we wish him the best. We don't want him in rehab, but
I mean, we
uh,
do, but we don't want him to have to go.
no, no, exactly. We don't want him
Yeah.
to be in a bad spot. Uh, then you got the drama over the Aquaman movie. We'll just leave it at that. So there's a lot of drama with a lot of these actors, and these movies are getting more and more expensive. We got these actors coming back like, "Oh, I want more money," and the movies aren't making the money they need them to make. It's best just to get a whole new cast, pay them less, start over, and then you can start with a brand new, fresh vision.
Yeah, I mean, like you got to think about like Robert Downey Jr. Even though like at before Iron Man, he was a big actor, he was super unreliable, and so he was just kind of like him coming back after his issues. You can feasibly pay him less.
Right. And
He,
it was a huge gamble. They were like, can we depend on this guy? We don't know. Um, but
and
it
then
was the best thing for him, best thing for them. It turned out to be a great thing. But
yeah,
at the time, they had no idea.
yeah. If you think about it, of the big three before the MCU, Chris Evans was the biggest one, and that's weird to
Yeah,
think about.
yeah.
That's it's
I mean,
weird to
they
think
were
about.
all, but basically all. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. had a name, but they were kind of
But
nobodies, really.
right, right. And Chris Hemsworth, I mean, like, I think one of the coolest things is he actually filmed Cabin in the Woods before he was cast as Thor, but they didn't release Cabin in the Woods until after Thor came out.
I
And
love
so they're
Cabin in
like,
the Woods. Such a good
"Oh,
movie.
it's so good." And they're like, "Oh, look, we got Thor in our horror movie." And I bet you they didn't pay him anything for that
Oh
movie.
no, of course not. Um, yeah. So Henry Cavill is moving over to Warhammer, which is
Yes.
awesome because he's a big fan.
Yeah,
Um,
I love it whenever we get to see, and that's the thing that breaks my heart about The Witcher is he is Geralt of Rivia,
mhm.
and uh he loves the source material so much that he wants it done right, and then whenever writers believe that they can write something better than the source material, um then it just kind of breaks the heart of the
Yeah,
one who actually cares. And now they're going after him, saying that he's a degenerate gamer and a misogynist, and
you gotta ignore Twitter, the idiots on Twitter and whatnot.
yeah.
They are always gonna have an opinion, and it's just you can never win, never.
um but yes, the only thing that really like hurt, and it doesn't hurt because it just makes sense. um they literally, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I know, it was either they've been talking about it for a month, or um, the news about Superman came out, and then they immediately called him and said, "Hey, do you want to be a part of this?" Um, and so we're probably not getting this Warhammer thing until like 2024 at the earliest.
Yeah,
Um,
I would expect late 2023, 2024. These things, it depends on how far along they are in pre-production.
uh,
Uh, it is Amazon Prime, so uh, I wish him
it,
luck.
it is hit or miss. I think one of the things that he has going for him is, you know, he as executive producer, I believe that gives him a little bit of power at
I
least.
hopefully that he has a. Uh, I don't know if they'd give him final say, but something
Yeah.
close to that.
Well, what I think needs to happen is I think, and I'm thinking the way Star Wars works. Um, the reason Andor was so good is because they put it in the hands of a filmmaker, not a fan. So Tony Gilroy, who did the Bourne movies, comes out and does this amazing, spy thriller Star Wars thing.
Hmm.
But then if you look specifically at Mandalorian, you actually have a double team. You have your lore expert being Dave Filoni, who was actually mentored by George Lucas, but then your filmmaker is John Favreau. Mandalorian would not be what it is without John Favreau. And so ideally, what I would like is them to come out with a showrunner who like knows how to make films and and shows and whatnot. And then Henry Cavill is kind of like your lore expert, just to make sure that things are done
Keep them in
right.
line. Keep it
Yeah.
respectful to the source material.
Yeah.
Um,
And here's the thing. I know nothing about Warhammer. I am interested purely because I love seeing, even in this picture right here, I love seeing Henry Cavill's enthusiasm for the brand, and it is his enthusiasm that makes me interested in the brand.
yeah. So I'll say this and we'll move on. For DC to be successful, you have to have the foundation successful, and that to me that is Batman and Superman.
Yes.
And the Scott Snyder movies screwed up both of those characters.
Zack,
So
Zack,
you,
Zack Snyder.
who did I say?
Scott.
Yeah, so I'm sorry. Zack Snyder screwed up both of those
Different
characters.
Batman. Different Batman guy.
Yeah. It's easy to get mixed up. So you have to get those two right, and then everything else will fall into place.
Well,
So
hold
I
on.
think you have to clear the burn down the whole building and start over.
So
And,
let me ask you this.
uh-huh.
Um, do you let Joker 2, like let's say that you're James Gunn. Do you let Joker 2 come out and then leave that brand behind, and then you tell Matt Reeves to piss off, and then you just make sure that everything is the same? Like, this is like you start from scratch, and
So
everything within the universe.
Joker 2 is definitely coming out because Zaslav said that as soon as he got the job, he's like Joker 2 is coming out, and it went into production. That's going to happen. Now whether we get a Joker 3, I think depends on how Joker 2 does. Um, but I think that's going to be its own little pocket universe thing. Um, what was the other part of your question? Matt Reeves. I think they sat down with Matt Reeves and said we're going in a different direction. However, we're going to give you X amount of picture deals doing other stuff. It won't be Batman, but it'll be other picture deals. And so that's how they kept him happy. They said, "Here, we're going to give you a bunch of movies to do. It just won't be Batman, and we're not going forward." I think they're still making the Penguin series, maybe for HBO
Okay.
Max, but I don't. I think if the Batman does get a sequel, it'll probably be like straight to HBO Max or something.
Yeah. Um, yeah. It's a weird situation that
Yeah. All
but
right.
we're going to be getting into some weird situations in general coming up here with uh other popular brands, uh specifically Marvel and Star Wars.
Yeah.
But
So let's look at Spider Verse. We got a new trailer. Most of the trailer was kind of scenes from the first movie, but then towards the end we did get a shot of a lot of the different Spider-Mans or
I'm very
Spider-Men.
scared about this movie.
I am too. It seems like
I
Spider-Man 2099 might be the villain, which I don't like.
I I saw the trailer and I'm like, oh no, there is too much going on.
Yeah, like if you do this Spider Society, whatever, that needs to be like a little 10-minute sequence and then leave that behind. You cannot hang out there the whole movie. There's too many characters.
You know what it is? It's like they saw, and here's the thing. When I say this, I liked Multiverse of Madness, right? But they saw Multiverse of Madness as like, yes, yes, let's do that.
Well, it's almost
And
like they saw Jonathan Hickman's Fantastic Four, the Council of Reeds, or like Rick and Morty, where they have all the Morty Ricks everywhere, and they're like, oh yeah, we could do that and just have people everywhere.
yeah,
Um,
I think that everyone needs to go play High on Life, just so that everyone can get sick of the Rick and Morty comedy and it can go ahead and die. That is
yeah,
just
that's another conversation. I feel like Rick and Morty is very funny at times, but I also feel like it has been overdone, and the way that they have what's the word I'm looking for? Licensed that out to everything is very anti Rick and Morty, and they keep doing it, and they keep trying to play off like, oh no, we know it's ironic that we're being licensed out to Wendy's. Oh no, we're in a commercial, and it's just like no.
it's called lampshading and it doesn't work.
Um, the one thing I was excited about, and this article has all the different Spider-Man. So here's Spider-Punk and PS4 Spider-Man. The one thing,
You see, I didn't need PS4 Spider-Man in this movie.
the one thing I'm very excited about is Peter B. Parker showing up. Oh yeah, here's
Yeah,
cool. Spider-Man Unlimited is in
yes, yes. Oh, and what did we talk about last week that brought up Spider-Man Unlimited?
it. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 trailer has the Animan or whatever in it.
Right. What if they connect them together and then Spider-Man Unlimited just shows up in Guardians 3?
I don't see that happening, but that would be crazy. Just having it in the background, like in the city, like swinging by, like, was that Spider Man? What was that?
No,
Uh,
no. What you do is you have him like in the post-credit sequence, but make it like the Venom post-credit sequence, and it doesn't matter and never comes up again.
yeah. Uh, this is what I was most excited about. Peter B. Parker is holding a bag, and in the bag is Mayday Parker. I love this kid. I was so upset when they killed off this baby back in the 90s. Um, so I'm really glad that Peter B. Parker is the Spider-Man I was reading in the 90s, and they're letting him have his kid and tell his story.
You got to be careful. Marvel editorial is going to come and shut us down.
I know they hate Mayday Parker. I don't care. This got me
I,
very excited that baby
you,
Mayday Parker's in this.
you know what I was talking with Cameron about the other day, and this was about the what I want is and I don't care if it's like an Elseworld story or anything. I just want to see the story. I want to see what caused I want to see what caused One More Day. In the fact that I want to see the story where Mayday kills Mephisto. Like I just want to see that
Yeah,
story.
that would be awesome. That would be really cool. Yeah, most of these Spider-Man variants I do not care about. I do like Bagman. He's fun. But yeah, for the most part, I don't care about these other Spider-Mans.
I don't.
So we'll
I
see.
guess. I guess the problem is like, part of me should be excited because my favorite Spider-Man versions are PS4 and Spectacular, but at the same time, I genuinely just did not want them in this movie, and it looks like that they're going to be in this movie.
Yeah, we'll just have to see.
Too much. It's too
It is
much.
too much. It is. It's kind of like how I feel about the Mario movie right now. The trailer looks like they're throwing everything in this movie, and I'm just kind of like, yeah, I probably would have just dialed back and focused maybe on just Mario One and maybe a little bit of Mario Three. I don't think you need Mario Kart in this and Lumas and Yoshis and everything in this movie.
Tanuki definitely surprised me.
Yeah, so I'm just afraid that they're just going to throw everything in this movie, and then you're just kind of like, oh, okay, and it's just going to be a reference every 5 seconds and not much of a story. That's my fear of the Mario movie. Um,
I want Mario 2 to be about Doki Doki Panic,
oh,
and
absolutely, yes,
I want it to be like a big thing whenever they learn to pick stuff up. I want that to be like a big plot point. It's like, oh my god, we can pick things up.
yeah. They're just bored. They just pick up a weed. Also, a bomb comes out of the ground. They're like, what?
And then Toad's like, hey, look at this bottle, and he throws it. And they're like, oh, it's gonna explode, and then it turns into a door.
Yeah, yeah. I Mario 2 would be an amazing movie. It's got its own cast. It's all different. Uh, yeah, definitely. So Spider Verse. We're
Too
nervous about
much.
this movie. Um, I don't know. Have you seen the cyborg Spider Woman character?
Yes, yes.
Way too bulky. It kind of is just like, what are they doing? It's like if the Hulk was Spider Man and a woman and a cyborg.
It reminds me of a if we're talking about turtles, I don't remember where it was from, but it's like whenever Donatello was turned into a cyborg, but just like this huge mutant cyborg thing.
Yeah, from the Image comics. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
or like in the last Rise of the TMNT or whatever it was called, where Raphael's
Tails.
way. No, it was Rise. Was
Oh,
after
okay.
that. Where Raphael's way bulkier than the other turtles. Like he's huge, and you're just kind of like, why is he so much bigger?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think the only time that has worked was in the Sonic Boom cartoon. Whenever Knuckles was way bigger than everyone else.
He was stupid.
He was stupid, but then at times he was just like a really smart feminist. Okay, let's talk. Okay, real quick. Sonic Boom, horrible brand, horrible game, but that show is prime, not Sonic Prime. But it is so good.
I've
But yeah,
seen some of the what they call those clips online, like the
out of context.
out of context. Yeah, I've seen some of those for that show, and it's pretty funny. The
Oh my
things
gosh,
he's
it's
say. Yeah. All right. Let's talk about Pokemon real quick.
you want to go ahead and try that again?
Pocket Monster, put those Pokemans.
So let's talk about Pokemon for a second.
Okay.
Uh,
Don't you want to talk about ass ketchup and the Pokemans?
oh my gosh.
We
Um,
never mind. I don't want to tell that joke on here because Jackson and I have been talking about doing an animated. I'll tell you after the show's
all
over.
right. Guys, he did it. He became the very best like no one ever was.
Like no one ever was.
I think that's my favorite thing about this is like so Ash, he won. He became the world champion, and then that's it. That's the end of his story. We don't have to keep going forward. He won. He became the best. Now let someone else take over. I love this.
Well, I mean, this is a big deal because I think I was watching Pokemon when you were born.
Yeah.
and it's always been Ash and Team Rocket, and so it is a big deal. My fear is that this is just a stunt and he'll be back in 6 months.
That is a possibility.
But I think if you end this, I think it's good. End the story. I think stories should have an ending. I don't like it when things go on forever. Like I think Spider-Man should have an ending. I know that's sacrilegious to say, but
Yeah. Feige, everything should have an ending.
yeah. um, so yeah, this is a big deal. I've always thought it would be fun to do a Pokemon movie where one of his, he always has like the little side character partners that are traveling with him. Have one of them gets sucked into the future by Cerebi or whatever the little green guy's name is. Celebi. And in the future, he meets the Pokemon Master, and then at the end, you find out it's Ash. That this character has met every Pokemon. You give him an ending like that, and have him be like friends with Team Rocket and stuff. Like they've become friends over the years and whatever. You could do like a future vision where you show what happens to him, but we don't need to see that whole journey.
Yeah. What I'm wondering is because Ash is not going to be the main character anymore. That means Pikachu is also gone.
Right.
I don't know if that means that who's your new partner? Does this mean that for every game that comes out, I believe that it's starting with Scarlet and Violet, that we have this new protagonist. I guess that means that like in 5 years, whenever Pokemon Rock and Sand come out, that that's going to be the end of the new protagonist story, and then Rock and Sand, they have their new protagonist, and so the partner Pokemon is just going to be one of the starters, I guess.
I would not surprise me if like Eevee became the new face of the show going forward or something, just
That
because
would not surprise me.
you could do all the different evolutions and stuff, and you could keep reusing Eevee. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, this is cool. It's kind of sad. It's kind of like, oh my gosh, we're actually doing this.
You know what this is? This is I think at this point we are in an era where endings are becoming more tolerable. Like it started with Logan, I would say.
Uh-huh.
Um, but No Time to Die was actually like you don't have to make any more James Bond movies after No Time to Die. I know they're going to, but you don't have to. We're just kind of in an era where endings are okay.
Well, here's one of the big problems with pop culture right now is everything is nostalgia from the 80s and 90s right now.
Yes.
And so the current kids in 20, 30 years, they're not going to have anything to be nostalgia about because all their properties are from the 80s and 90s. So you have to let something go away so it can become popular again in 10 years or 20 years.
I'm
So
thinking about like
Ash needs to go away so he can become popular again one day.
right, yeah.
So I think this is good. It's time for Ash to take a break. You know he will be back one day. This is not oh my gosh, we're never going to see him again. You know, they're going to try something new, and then when that stops working, they'll either try something different or they'll bring back Ash. So but I think it's cool, and be curious to see what they do next. I hope Team Rocket sticks around. They are the best part of the show, but we'll see.
Yeah. You know, what'd be funny is this if Cassidy and Butch come back.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Which,
Well,
by the way, I never got that joke until I was an adult. It's great.
yeah, Annie and Oakley and Jesse and James and Butch and Cassidy and yeah.
It's
They
great.
yeah. It'd be funny if they keep showing up and they're still looking for Pikachu. They just don't realize that Pikachu's retired. They're just like, where'd they go? It takes
Man.
them several episodes to figure it out. Oh, they're not coming back, are they? Oh,
Where it reminds me of and this is just strictly a Scrubs reference. Whenever JD leaves Sacred Heart and then they come back from med school, and the way that they write the janitor out of the show is he doesn't believe that JD's not coming back. He's like, yeah, I mean he left, but now he'll come back. No, he's not. And then he just goes insane, and they put him in a mental asylum because the person that he used to torture for 10 years is now gone.
that's hilarious. All right. We have been hopeful for a long time that Alita Battle Angel would get a sequel.
I
And
love it.
and now James Cameron and Rodriguez have swore a blood oath that they will make Alita Battle Angel 2 one day. I hope so. The way that movie ended, I was like on the edge of my seat cheering, like, come on, come on. And then it just ends. You're like, no.
Right. Yeah. No,
What
that's the thing is the
happens
movie just
next?
ends.
It's like, what happened next? No, you can't do this. Um, yeah, because it's like the revolution starting. Here we go. And up. Like, no, you cannot
Yeah.
end on that note. If you've never seen Alita Battle Angel, it's awesome. I have several friends that refuse to watch this movie, and it drives me crazy because I'm like, this movie's really good.
So I have a friend who, because I did not want to see this movie. I thought this movie looked stupid.
Yeah, it
Um,
did look stupid in the trailers. I agree.
so I uh, what happens is whenever we were in high school, it was his birthday, and so I wanted to see RoboCop, but he's a big history buff, and so he's like, "No, for my birthday, we're all gonna go see Monuments Men," which is a horrible movie. And so I've never let him live that down. And then and then me and him, we go watch RoboCop a couple weeks later. He's like, "Yeah, we should have just watched this for my birthday." Um, so for his birthday in 2019, he wanted to go see Alita. And I'm like, oh, is this going to be another Monuments Men thing where, like, I never let you live this down? Now he won't let me live this down because he picked a good movie for his birthday.
Yeah. If you like a good action movie, this movie's awesome.
Yeah,
It's so much fun.
It's so good. And you know what's great? For people of my generation, because I don't know if you experienced this, but for my generation of Robert Rodriguez films, we grew up watching Spy Kids 3D Game Over.
Mhm.
There is so, and I admit, like so as a kid, I love that movie. It's a bad movie,
Oh
but
yeah.
I was a kid and I love that movie, and so there is so much Spy Kids 3D Game Over in this movie, but it's like
Mhm.
they do it right. It's great. Like the murder ball or whatever it's called just reminds me of the race
Yeah.
from Spy Kids 3. And it's great. And so a lot of this was, I don't know, it was like member berries, but they didn't mean to do it, and it was great.
This movie is just great, and it desperately needs a sequel. If we get more
Yes.
after that, great. If we just get one more, great. I need more. And there is a rabid fan base. This movie, it did blow up the box office. I think they did like 400 million, which is not bad though. A lot of movies don't make
Well, it
half
was
that.
what it was a February film,
Yeah, yeah.
so that
And
was
it
really
was
good for
it was
February.
and it was up against Captain Marvel, and for it to do 400 million or whatever it did, somewhere around there.
How insane is it that we had two movies that were, strong female protagonist? This is the better one.
This is, yeah, no question.
Um, uh, you know what I'm surprised about is we talk about Lita quite a bit. You've never read the manga though. I feel like you
I
would have
have
exactly.
I've read the volume that the movie covers. I have read.
Okay, because I mean, like even whenever you got caught up on Chainsaw Man, you went and read Chainsaw Man to get caught up in that.
Well, my library only has volume one of Alita,
Oh,
so
gotcha.
I'm like, if it had the other volumes, I'd be there. I saw them in the bookstore the other day, and I was tempted. Like, I probably should buy those one day. Um, all right. So speaking of strong female leads, we got one more news story to talk about. This kind of took us both by surprise. This Barbie trailer is nuts.
Oh, it's so good. I'm so excited.
It is really it is crazy.
So
Um,
I had no idea that Simu Liu was also in this movie, and
uh,
I love him. Um, oh, it's oh, it's so funny. Uh,
just the 2001 sequence. I thought that was genius. And just the look on the girl's face where they're staring at the Barbie.
so here's the funny thing, and this is a personal thing, because my mother was a baby doll person. She loved baby dolls. She liked pretending to be a mother.
Mhm.
My aunt, your wife, was a Barbie doll person,
Uh
and
huh.
so this beginning is very personal for me because I just I
You've seen
see them
both worlds. Yeah.
seeing both worlds, and they start smashing the baby dolls.
Yeah. So I think the first part of this trailer is genius, and then the second half is more of what I expected. I'm like, what the heck is this movie?
Yeah. So
So
for I don't know if I've talked about this before, but my favorite actor right now is Ryan Gosling.
uh
And so him being Ken is perfect. I saw an interview with him where he said, he was their first pick for Ken, and so like, hey Ryan, do you want to play Ken? He's like, I'll have to think about it. He goes home. Uh, he goes home, and his daughters come running in from the backyard. He goes into the backyard, and he sees on the ground a face down in the mud Ken doll next to a smashed up lemon. He takes a picture of it, sends it to Greta Gerwig, and says, I want to tell this man's story. So yeah, honestly, I mean, there are two reasons I'm excited for this movie. One, because Margot Robbie is the real life Barbie doll. That's not even a question.
oh yeah, yeah.
And secondly, whatever Ryan Gosling has in store for Ken, he keeps talking like this is his magnum opus, like this is going to be his greatest performance ever. I gotta know.
Yeah, I'm curious, especially after we saw Ken and Toy Story 3. I'm curious to see where they take his character.
So Ryan Gosling has already said this. He said, "Here's the weird thing about Ken is no one just has a Ken doll.
Yeah.
Ken isn't like you can have just a Barbie doll, but no one just has a Ken doll. Ken is an accessory to Barbie."
Yeah.
And I'm listening to that, and I'm like, "What is this movie gonna be about? Why are you making me think about things?" I am so excited for this movie.
Yeah. So I am curious about that one. But we got a lot of stuff to talk about. So let's get moving here.
Yeah,
Forgotten Christmas classics. We have picked some stuff that we grew up watching that a lot of people don't talk about. Um, so we'll talk about one that
yeah,
we're both familiar with.
yeah. And I believe from yes, absolutely. On this end, you did more of the specials, and I did more of the episodes, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Um, So all of the other reindeer, this has been, as far as I know, just on Cartoon Network. It may have aired on Fox once or twice, but this is a Matt Groening special who did Simpsons, Futurama, and stars Drew Barrymore as all of the other reindeer. She is a dog named Olive who hears that Santa's calling all of the other reindeer and thinks, "Oh, that's me. I gotta get to the North Pole. Santa needs me." And
And of course it's all of the other reindeer.
right,
It's as a kid, I mean, even now, that's hilarious. Like just as a
yeah,
premise,
yeah,
um, I had no idea it was Drew Barrymore until we started talking about it last week.
yeah. It's a really fun, cute movie. There's a shady penguin that she runs into. It's a really
That's
funny
right.
character. And I think there's a zookeeper chasing them, and
Yeah.
it's a fun little film. One that I like to check out every year. There's a bus driver named Richard Stans, and so he thinks that the Pledge of Allegiance, I think it was, is about him for Richard Stans for Richard Stans. So there's some funny jokes like that. So
Yeah.
uh, definitely one that I love to check out
It was
every
a
year.
postman. That's what it was.
Postman, that's right, right. I was thinking Zookeeper, but yeah, it's a Postman. Um, all right, so that was my first one.
Yeah.
I split the next entry into two different ones, so we'll do the first one for you.
Sure.
Um,
Sure.
this
Go
is
ahead and
Batman the Animated Series, Christmas with the Joker. Um, this is the one where he kidnaps Summer Gleason. Is that right?
yes. So he kidnaps Summer Gleason. He kidnaps Harvey Bullock, and he kidnaps Commissioner Gordon.
Right.
Summer and Commissioner Gordon are mom and dad, with Harvey Bullock being the little baby. It's great. I watch this every year. This is absolutely one of my favorite Christmas episodes of anything. So you know how and this is the only way that I can think of the animated series, even though I have the complete set. But I think of it as like you break them up into like volumes,
Hmm.
because you get the red box and the blue box. I think this is the best Joker episode on that red box volume one.
Okay.
It is so good. One of the things that I think is weird, and this might just be me because I acknowledge that everyone loves "It's a Wonderful Life." I'm not a huge fan of it.
Oh no, Caleb.
I know. I'm sorry.
That might be an age thing. Well, I think
Yeah, I think so.
once you have a family, maybe go back and watch that movie. You'll go, oh,
No, no, yeah, there definitely might be an age thing because you know, "It's a Wonderful Life" is about, as far as I can tell, because it's been a while since I've seen it, about a guy who's like, oh, life without me would be fine. I think is what it was.
yeah. The stress of life has gotten to him to a point where, and everybody, it seems like everybody's against him, but he's like, you know what, you'd all be better off without me.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, which
And so,
sadly, let me put my little commercial
go
here.
ahead, go ahead.
Check on your friends and family.
Yes,
There's a lot of depression going around right now. So, okay,
yes,
let's
absolutely.
carry
Um, I do think it's weird that Dick compares that idea to the idea of Batman. I always thought that was funny because like it's a stretch. um, but no, it's a great episode. It's also got my favorite Robin line in the whole animated series, which is whenever Batman takes a baseball bat and beats up a bunch of robots, and then Robin's like, "They don't call you Batman for nothing."
it. Oh,
It's great. I love it. And it's just it's so good. I'm trying to think of some good Mark Hamill one-liners, um, but I really can't right now. And there's not a whole. I want to talk about this because Kevin Conroy's passing. Really, this is not a Kevin Conroy episode. Batman could not talk, and the episode wouldn't change. Because this really is just it is a Joker episode. But one of the best Joker episodes. This is some. Me and my family, we have a Christmas tradition where Christmas morning, my mom is making, um, uh, breakfast. My mama is, sitting down on the couch. Cameron is off in the bathroom because that's his safe space. He's not even using it. He's just in the bathroom. Um, I'm watching this episode. I get about halfway through. My dad wakes up. He takes the remote and then he turns it off because he doesn't want to watch cartoons on Christmas morning. And so that is what this episode is to me.
It's half of a great episode.
It's half of a great episode that I never get to see. But no, I love this episode. So yes.
Yeah. Speaking of Kevin Conroy, we failed to mention this last week when we talked about the Game Awards. They showed a commercial for the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League.
And this is going to be Kevin Conroy's final Batman voice work, I think.
Yep.
So that is just awesome that we do get a final, a final adventure with Batman. So
it's in a Rocksteady game. I mean, I couldn't have it any other way.
Yeah. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go on to the next one. This is probably my favorite of everything I have listed on here. And that is Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas. I adore this special. It's so good. I think this is Jim Henson's best work.
I don't think I've ever seen this.
It's on Amazon Prime. You should definitely check it out. Basically it's been a while since I've seen it, but he's trying to raise money for his mom to get her a gift for Christmas. So he enters this talent show. His mom also enters the talent show because she's trying to raise money to get him a present for Christmas. And then there's this crazy rock band that's also of the bad guys that's also in the talent show, as only Jim Henson could do. And it's just some amazing puppet sets, the puppetry. It's just a very heartwarming tale. I've got a lot of Jim Henson on my list.
Oh yeah.
But this one is just classic. It is, I watched it when I was a kid, and I just love this one. So if you haven't checked it out, I'm pretty sure it's on Amazon Prime. I would definitely check it out. So we're gonna kind of zoom through these a little quick because there was
a lot that happened.
Yeah, and we're just trying to keep shows a little quick. It's Christmas time. Things are busy. We got presents to wrap. There's a lot going on right now.
Yeah.
So, what is next on your list?
Next up is actually more Batman. This is from the New Adventures of Batman. I've always considered New Adventures of Batman to be a different show. I know that there's some contention there, but specifically, I mean, there is enough of an artistic change that this is a different show for me.
Yeah, and the setup changed because Robin was Nightwing now, and it's a different show.
We had Tim, who was actually Jason, but they named him Tim.
Yeah.
So this is strange. This is actually the first episode of the show. It's called Holiday Nights, and it is actually a vignette episode. And I personally, I love vignettes. I love Pulp Fiction. I love Sin City. So, vignettes will get me. This one, this picture right here, this is from the first vignette, which is where Harley and Ivy decide to brainwash Bruce Wayne, and they just go on like a shopping spree, with his money, and it's a lot of fun. I like the fact whenever they do Christmas that it doesn't have to be too serious.
Yeah, I'm sure I've probably seen this, but this is not ringing any bells right now.
So the last vignette will ring bells.
Okay.
So the second vignette is actually a Batgirl vignette, and I think it's technically the best one. It involves Batgirl um, going after a shoplifter at a mall, uh, and it's this kid, and she's being very sympathetic towards this kid, and then towards the end you find out that this kid is actually not a kid, but they don't realize it.
Okay.
They do this a lot. It's actually a piece of Clayface.
I was about to say it's Clayface.
Yeah, yeah. Um, and this is about as serious as I want it to get whenever it comes to Christmas. But and I think they do a whole episode like this later on. I think it's called Mudslide.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Where, yeah,
So they do this twice. But yeah, so it's fun,
and also
uh,
I think Spider-Man has done this, where Sandman has a kid running around, and he finds
yeah,
just part of Sandman. So yeah,
yeah.
they've all done this.
Oh yeah. Batman Beyond did it with ink.
Yeah,
This is great. I think that one of the highlights of this episode is Renee Montoya as an elf with Harvey Bullock as a donut eating Santa. It's
there you
great.
go. Yeah, Harvey was
Um,
always great.
oh yeah. Now the third one, and like I said, this will be the one that you probably recognize. It's a Batman and Robin story um, that takes place on New Year's Eve, and the Joker throws a New Year's Eve party in Gotham Square and gives everyone Joker masks. Um, they actually reference this one in Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker, whenever he says a countdown of victims that will end at midnight. That comes from this episode, um, and so Batman and Robin essentially have to uh, go and put a stop to his plan. They end up dropping a bell on the Joker, but it doesn't kill him because this is a cartoon. um, and of course, it was going to be like one of those, everyone who's wearing a mask is going to, get Joker gassed. But the really good part about this episode um, is at the end, Batman and Gordon on New Year's Eve meet up for coffee. Apparently, this is something they do every year. And it's, to another year of successful crime fighting. And then he turns around and Batman's gone and he's already paid. And he's like, one of these days I'm going to pay. No, it's just really what I love about Holiday Nights. I think Christmas with the Joker is technically a better episode, but what I like more about this episode is it is definitely more heartwarming. Um, and like I said, I love vignettes. So, like I said, all the vignettes are great. I don't know if that line rang any bells because, like I said, it was in Return of the Joker as well.
It all the stuff sounds familiar, but I don't know if it's like, oh, I've seen this done in comic books several times, or this. It all runs together after a while.
Yeah,
Especially I haven't rewatched stuff. I do find it funny that Joker plot sounds like the plot of Halloween 3. So
yeah,
where
yeah.
the mask and they're gonna poison you or kill you or whatever. So
Oh yeah.
that's cool. I need to. I was thinking this the other day. I should just start turning on Batman animated series just in the background while I'm working and just
Oh yeah.
you know.
I do that all the time, especially now that I work from home. Like, sometimes I'll have it on YouTube TV because YouTube TV will just go on all day and I'll be like, oh, there's some Friends marathon, sure. But yeah, sometimes I'll put on Star Wars, sometimes I'll put on Batman.
Mm-hmm.
It's just nice to have something going on in the background.
No, I hear you. All right, so let's move on to my next one here.
Oh, by the way, just throwing this out, I do think we need to do like a top 10 for a animated series at some point.
Oh yeah, I don't know if I could keep it to just 10. It might be like a top 20, but we'll see.
Well, you know what we would have to do? We'd have to make the top 20 together. So
Well,
that way there's
yeah,
overlap.
I think we'd have like an honorable mention section, and yeah. All right, so I told you my list is mostly Jim Henson. So here we go again. Jim Henson's The Christmas Toy. I don't know if you're familiar with this one.
No.
Basically, this is the plot of Toy Story before Toy Story came out.
Okay.
Rugby Tiger is basically your Buzz Lightyear, and then the little girl doll Apple is your Woody. And so the previous year she was the favorite toy, and now he's like the favorite toy. And so he's like, "Oh, I can't wait for Christmas Day. Yeah, kids are just gonna play with me." And she's like, "No, they're not. There's going to be a new toy, and you're going to be forgotten like I was." Um, and so it's all about this new toy that's basically like Zurg. If Zurg was a girl, that's the new toy. She's like Balthazar or something. Um, but it's like they can move when the humans are not around, and if a human spots them out of place, they get frozen. There's all this lore. Um, but it's a lot of the Toy Story rules in this movie, way before Toy Story. Um, so this it's a lot of fun, and like it's not just like the human toys. Like the little mouse down there is the cat's toy, and it interacts with them and
Okay,
stuff. So
that's fun.
yeah, it's a fun little movie. Uh, about how they think that they're forgotten at the end. They find out that, oh no, the kids still love us. They just their attention's on their toys, but they still love their old toys too. So it's
I'm
touching, and
I'm
yeah, go ahead.
looking this up. Is Kermit in this as well?
I think he does like a host segment at the beginning, like he comes out and talks and says, "Oh, this is a blah 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 story or whatever," and so he's just like at the very beginning and at the
Ah,
very end.
he's the Patchy the pirate.
Sure.
SpongeBob lost episode. Oh man, I didn't put the SpongeBob on it. It's fine, whatever.
I had thought about that, but my list was way too long.
Yeah,
But if you've never heard "Don't Be a Jerk," it's Christmas. You should really check it
Don't
out.
Be a Jerk is good. I also get the song that they're singing whenever they're building the Christmas tree, and then Patrick gets on the top and he's the star. It's great, but yeah, uh, no, I've so here's the thing. I have the utmost respect for Jim Henson, and yet I am not familiar with most of his work.
And here's the thing: he died in what, 93, 94, somewhere around there. So it was before you were born. So like a lot of the Muppet momentum like ended right before you were born. Like everything just kind of crashed because they didn't know what to do with the the company at that point. So I mean, they were putting out incredible stuff. I mean, like the first Ninja Turtle movie, the Dinosaurs TV show. They were doing all this stuff, and then as soon as he died, it was just like, oh, what do we do? And it was almost like the company imploded at that second. It was like the creative driving force was just unexpectedly taken away from them. So I can understand you not being much of a Muppet fan. It was much more of an '80s, '90s thing.
Yeah, I am a fan of like M- Muppets, like because I remember like going to Hollywood Studios as a kid, and like I
Hmm.
love the Muppet stuff down there.
Yeah.
For me, I definitely see Muppets more as an attraction than as like a show. Although I really like, and I don't know, I think we may have talked about this before, and I don't know if you like it or not. I don't think you do. I love the 30 Rock style Muppet show where
No, I never really
Kermit,
gave it a chance. Yeah.
okay, where Kermit's the showrunner. Like, I do love that show. It's funny, but I love 30 Rock. So
I think Muppets Tonight is like the best Muppets has ever been. Uh, it's just very funny. Uh, and then the old Muppet Show can be very funny if you give it a chance. It's a lot of vaudeville, type humor, but some of those jokes are just very funny. So, um, definitely check that out, especially the Mark Hamill episode. If you've never seen the Mark Hamill Muppet episode, it's incredible. So, all right, what is next on your list?
my next one is the episode of Community from season one called Comparative Religion. Um, I know a lot of people like Abed's Uncontrollable Christmas more. Um, I don't know. I maybe it's because I was never one to grow up with actual Christmas specials. But I just enjoy this one more. The reason I wanted to talk about this one is because this episode actually like spoke to me on a on like a spiritual level in a way. Um, this episode taught me that even though even though I am Christian, that like you can still make jokes and laugh about it. Like, you know, you don't have to feel uncomfortable with those jokes. I think this episode is hilarious because not only do they make jokes about Christianity, they make jokes about Judaism and Jehovah's Witness. That's one of the funniest things is Christmas Troy right here, which this is great when they're singing "Oh Christmas Troy, Oh Christmas Troy." He's Jehovah's Witness dressed up like this. It's really funny. Um,
I don't know
and
if I've seen this episode. There's a lot of season one I have not seen.
so the main point of this episode is there's this bully on a there's a bully on college campus, which is already hilarious.
Mhm.
Um, and so he's bullying Abed, and uh, Jeff kind of intervenes and is like, "I'll meet you, you know, I'll meet you in the parking lot." And so they're gonna get in a fight, and Shirley is like, "You can't get into a fight on Christmas," and they're like, "Shirley, it's December 10th." Um, and so that's really what the whole episode is about. Is about them getting getting ready, getting Jeff ready for the fight, and Shirley
Did you
being
have
like,
a picture for this image? I don't have
"Oh,
it on my.
I thought I
Here.
already.
No, it's not on my screen.
Oh, my bad. I was talking about Christmas, Troy, and you guys have no idea what I'm talking about.
What are you talking about? Here we go.
That's
There we
Christmas,
go.
Troy."
There we go. No, I have not seen this episode.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is Christmas, Troy. Um, this is what I want Donald Glover to be doing instead of Hypno. What's his face? I want
Hypno
more of
Husker.
this.
Yeah.
Yes, that. Um,
Yeah.
but it's a great episode. I think one of the funniest things is Shirley's putting together a holiday party, and everyone is allowed to bring their um, uh, everyone's allowed to bring their religion together and just kind of holiday party. But she's really throwing a Christmas party.
Yeah, like she's like dismissive of their
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
One of the funniest things is Annie is Jewish, and so she brings a menorah in, and she's like, "Oh, thank you," and so she
We'll put
picks it
that
up.
over here.
Well, no, she puts it in the Christmas tree like an ornament. It's so funny. um, but and then by the end, the entire group gets in on the fight, and it's such a fun fight. And then Shirley's like, "Yeah, you know what? This is what family really, because that's what it is she's not spending time with her family because she's going through a divorce and whatnot. And so this is basically her family, and then she learns, oh man, family is sticking by your people even whenever they're in a fight. And so she gets in on the fight, and one of the bullies is like, wait, you're not gonna hit me on Christmas. And she's like, oh, it's December 10th, and she hits him with a giant candy cane.
That's awesome.
This is a great episode. I highly recommend this to everyone. And I guess that this is kind of my message with this episode. It is okay. I think it is important to be so strong in your faith that you can even laugh at your own religion as well. I think that can
Yeah, I mean there's a line, but yeah.
yeah, no, there absolutely is a line, but this episode doesn't cross it, and so it shouldn't make you uncomfortable.
Yeah. That's cool.
But yeah, it's a great episode. It's my favorite. It is my second favorite community holiday special. My favorite being the Halloween one from season 3, where they tell different horror stories or just scary stories. But this is my second favorite. I love it. Oh, and what you gotta do is you gotta like talk like you got pennies in your mouth, and then you give him the Forrest Whitaker eye. He's like, "Oh, that's good." It's great. It's great. I love it.
All right, this next one, I don't know if it's one of my favorites. I just feel like I watched it every year.
Mhm.
Will Vinton's A Claymation Christmas. This was a big deal when I was a kid.
Never
Uh,
even heard of this.
this was a lot of little claymation shorts. California Raisins come out and sing a song.
I'm familiar
Uh,
with that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. The Camels come out singing "We Three Kings," and it's all jazz and stuff. There's these bells. They're doing the Christmas bells, and there's this idiot bell that I got in the picture that keeps messing up the song. Uh, and the whole thing's hosted by two dinosaurs that are trying to figure out what wassailing means. The whole show. It's cute. I just it's kind of a nostalgia thing for me. It's just like, oh yeah, I used to watch this. It's not very good, but I definitely used to watch it.
Definitely nobody talks about this one.
No, and I think they had like three specials for different holidays, but this was definitely the more popular of the three. But I think if you show people the picture of this bell or the camel singing, they'll go, "Oh yeah, I remember that." From the 80s. Um,
It kind of reminds me of like Mr. 101 or whatever.
the video game, or what are you talking about?
No, no, no. I'm Mr. White Christmas. I'm Mr. 101 or whatever that is. I might be getting it completely
Yeah,
wrong.
I don't know what you're talking about. So okay.
Uh,
um,
I'm
let me
gonna
pull
I'm
up
gonna have to
another. I'm gonna pull up another picture from this thing. Let's see, claymation Christmas.
snow miser, heat miser, whatever. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. That is something completely different. Those are the Rudolph and Rankin Bass specials and stuff. Uh,
I think I got those mixed up because I think Heat Miser says he's Mr. 101.
I gotcha. Excuse me. Um, let me pull up this picture here. I'm gonna start sneezing. This whole show's gonna go off the rails. Let's see. Here's some of the other characters. You have these two dinosaurs hosting. The camels over here on the right were singing California Raisins. Um, yeah, so it's a weird little special. Like I said, it's not something I say, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. Um, but it's pretty cool.
Never seen it before. Yeah, I mean, like
It's kind of
it doesn't even ring a bell. Oh,
uh,
get it, ring a bell.
yeah. Uh, the thing about the '80s was claymation was kind of a big deal back then. It's kind of like how in the early like late '90s and early 2000s, computer animation became a big deal. But in the '80s, it was like, oh, claymation, that's so cool, and then we kind of moved um, beyond that. So, all right, what is your next special?
My next special is another one of my favorites. This being, oh, hold on, let me get this up. I got to make sure that I have the picture up for once. Um, I This is my favorite comedy sitcom of all time. I'm a big fan of Arrested Development, and so this it's not even labeled a Christmas special or a Christmas episode. It just happens to be an episode that takes place on Christmas. Um, but it's an episode called Afternoon Delight, um, and it's just about them trying to throw a decent Christmas party because the company's been going through a lot, um, and so they want to throw a good Christmas party for their employees, but everyone is so selfish um, that
No, not their family.
yeah. um, but I think one of my favorites is just the constant. So Joe, played by Will Arnett, he's got this suit that he's obsessed with wearing, um, and he keeps raising the price of how much the suit is. Like, oh yeah, you want help from the guy who's got the $300 suit. Oh yeah, you want help from the guy who wants the $600 suit. Come on. it's also like a. he and it's actually his dad's suit, and he's like, you know what? I always wanted to walk in Dad's shoes, but they didn't fit. But I did finally get into Dad's pants. But it's great. For me, I think the funniest thing is, and I guess this kind of goes along with what I was talking about with comparative religion. It's actually George Michael, whose girlfriend Bland uh, is very Christian,
Hmm.
and so he goes to their Bethlehem party or whatever, and just you only they've only got like cutaway jokes to it, but every single one of them is funny. And then he shows up to the Bluth Christmas party, and he's like, George Michael, you're here. He's like, yeah, I'm still going back to Anne's party, but they just let me sneak away for the second hour of silent prayer. It's just stuff like that is so. The second hour of silent prayer. I love this. Um, the banana suit is great. I think that oh Buster being obsessed with the claw machine, and like it's like I've got all my rewards from Army, and it's like a bunch of stuffed animals. This is for marksmanship, and this is for drag racing. And then Lucille getting high on Afternoon Delight is just so funny. Rest in peace, Jessica Walter. She's great.
Oh yeah, she
Um,
was.
but no, I think this is hilarious. Oh, and of course the aunt and nephew and uncle and niece duet of Afternoon Delights. and Tobias be like, that's my wife and my nephew. We have an open relationship.
Oh, that
uh,
show was so great.
oh man, it's so good. Like I said, this isn't technically like this episode could be about a thing. This could just be about throwing a party for the company. It doesn't have to be a Christmas special. It just happens to be Christmas.
Mhm.
But it is one of my favorites.
That's awesome. All right. Next on my list, this I promise this is the last Jim Henson thing. A Muppet Family Christmas. This is one that never gets aired ever. And I think it's because of the rights nightmare that it is. But you can watch all of it on YouTube.
Do you think it's on Disney Plus?
It's not.
Okay.
Because it involves the Muppets, Muppet Babies, Sesame Street, and Fraggle Rocks all in one special.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, oh, well, PBS owns these characters. Oh, and so owns Fraggle Rock, and so it's a mess.
So it's like how it's quite possible that we are going to lose Spider-Man: No Way Home forever, and we're never going to be able to watch it again.
I think that movie's big enough that won't happen. But it's like
Probably, yeah. I know.
it's kind of like cartoon All Stars to the Rescue. Who owns that? I don't know. It's got Slimer and the Ninja Turtles and Alf and Muppet Babies in it, and blah blah blah. And it's so it's like why certain comic books don't get reproduced, like Marvel versus DC and stuff. It's like, oh well, who gets the
Yeah.
profits and blah blah blah. It gets real ugly. But there have been several Muppet Christmas specials. I think this is the most touching. Basically, they go to Fozzie's mom's house for Christmas, and then more and more visitors keep showing up, and pretty soon the house is like overflowing with characters. And it's very touching. And then Jim Henson, as you can see in this picture, is on screen at the very end. Look at all his creations, and it's just neat. It's a very touching scene. So
Okay, that's cool.
yeah, and there's a part where Kermit and his nephew they go into the Fraggle hole and they meet Fraggle Rock, and then they watch family home videos. They see clips of the Muppet Babies, and just all kinds of stuff. And then all the Sesame Street characters are there, and the two old guys, Waldorf and Statler, they're there. Everybody's there. It's just awesome. So it's like everybody gets a turn to be on camera.
Right.
So
It's like the Star Wars holiday special.
No, it's nothing like the Star Wars Holiday
It's
Special.
like you've got Lumpy who gets his time to shine. You've got B. Arthur who's got her time to shine, and then Jefferson Starship.
Yeah.
You know, everyone gets their time to shine in the Star Wars Holiday Special.
You know what I do not like right now is
Uh,
how Disney as a whole is trying to make the Star Wars Holiday Special like a thing. Like this is something everybody loves. Everybody loves Life Day, and they're like selling Life Day ornaments and stuff. But it's like, come on, quit
yeah.
it, stop it.
Well, and like, and we're not going to talk about this. I think just because it's too new, like maybe in the future. Like I love that Lego Star Wars Holiday Special. That was great. And another thing, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna call out James Gunn for a second. Um, Stop pretending like you like the Star Wars Holiday Special, okay? It's not funny. I know you don't actually like it, and you're liking it ironically. But James Gunn, I know that you don't actually like the Star Wars Holiday
Well,
Special.
now hold up. So, Caleb, you are in the generation of the on demand generation where anything you want to watch on demand. When I was a kid, the only time you ever saw anything about Star Wars is if you had them on tape or there was a special. So those were like really special when you saw, oh my gosh, there's Star Wars on TV. So there, I know of a lot of kids who grew up watching the Star Wars Holiday Special all the time in rotation when they would watch Star Wars. They're like, oh, we gotta watch our Ewok movies, we gotta watch the Holiday Special, and for them, it is part of Star Wars for them. So maybe it is a big deal to him. I don't know. He's probably, but knowing James Gunn, he's probably just being a jerk.
Yeah. Like I have a friend who is only 2 years older than me, and he says, "Hey, what's your favorite Star Wars movie? Oh, my favorite's Return of the Jedi. What's your favorite Star? Oh, I love the Star Wars Holiday Special. Shut up! No, you don't.
I like the Battle for Endor. That's my favorite.
I love Caravan of Courage.
Now, Caravan of Courage is actually pretty good. But anyhow, um, let's see. My brain's about to go to Ewoks. We don't have time for Ewoks tonight. Okay,
We'll
let's
get
move
there.
on to the the next one on your list.
So this is going to be. I'll go ahead and say this is the most uh, NSFW that this show will ever get.
Okay.
Um, I have no idea how I'm going to describe this episode. But this is the Christmas special of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Now, this is a show I have never watched, although I know a lot about it just from people always mentioning it and talking
This,
about it.
this show is extremely vile, and these people make the Bluth family look like charitable people.
Right.
So there are two storylines going on in the It's Always Sunny, A Very Sunny Christmas. Um, One has to do with Charlie misunderstanding what Santa is, because of course we all know that Santa is this big fat guy who comes down the chimney whenever you're asleep, leaves presents and brings joy to all presents of boys and girls. What Charlie thinks Santa is this guy who knocks on your door. You open the door, he brings you a gift, you put it under the tree, and then he goes up to your mom's room. And that just happens throughout the Christmas season for him as a kid. Uh, um, and so he ends up, and this is I'm very much abridging this because this is actually I think this is like an hour and a half or something like that. This is almost a movie. Um, but he ends up going to a mall Santa and sitting on his lap and then saying, Santa, did you my mom? And he's like, wait. And he's like, what? He's like, did you my mom? And then he attacks this mall Santa, and it
Mm-hmm.
actually gets extremely bloody. I think this is whenever the show went from FX to FXX. Whenever the show went to FXX, the show could do whatever it wanted.
Right.
So that is the part that me and my friends always reference. The one that everyone knows is Frank Reynolds, played by Danny DeVito, going to a Christmas party at an office, and so he is convinced that everyone hates him, and they're talking bad about them. So what he does is he hides in a sofa. He hides in a sofa um, at this holiday party, and so his children, Dennis and Dee, are at the party, and they're trying to to get all of his coworkers to say something bad about him because that's what he wants to hear them talk bad about him. And so he's finally they get someone to say that Frank Reynolds is an a-hole or whatever.
Mhm.
And then Danny DeVito just starts coming out of the he starts coming out of the couch. Everyone knows this part, okay? He starts coming out of the couch, and he was like, "It's too hot in there," and so he comes out like buck naked. He's like, "I knew you. Too hot. I knew you guys. I heard what you said," and he's just walking around this place naked. And he looks like the couch is giving birth to a giant
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah, it's like the Ace Ventura scene. I'm sure.
Oh my gosh, it's and it is just it is an hour and a half of what I just described. I think this is one of the greatest sitcoms of all time. This is not one that I can binge watch just because these people are so horrible.
Yeah, you gotta do it in
Yeah.
limits.
No, you know what this is? This is so Cameron and I grew up on Ed, Ed and Eddie. And so now we watch this. This is a grown-ups Ed, Ed and Eddie. That's what this is. But yeah, no, just did you my mom, and then Frank Reynolds, Danny DeVito coming out of the couch naked. That is this episode. And it is hilarious. I love it.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I may have to start watching this show someday. We'll see.
Do not start. I think the first season is good. It's hard to get into the first season because Danny DeVito is not coming into the second season.
Okay. This next one was the first time I saw what was to become one of my favorite shows of all time. This was the Space Ghost Christmas. I just happened to catch it late one night on a Friday night. I was like, what is this? And this was their Christmas special for Space Ghost Coast to Coast. If you don't know, Space Ghost Coast to Coast was a show where Space Ghost had a talk show, and he would interview real people, and they'd make jokes, and it was just very funny. This Christmas special has clips from the show, but it also has the Council of Doom, which is all of Space Ghost's villains, singing Christmas specials. And this was the first time they really started using Brack. And so you got Brack singing songs, you got Zorak singing.
Is this where "Don't Touch Me" comes from?
I don't think so. These were all Christmas songs that they were singing.
Okay.
I think that was Cartoon Planet, probably.
Okay, because that is the only thing. My only memory of Space Ghost Coast to Coast is, I believe your eldest had discovered that video, and so he was just running around your all's house singing "Don't Touch Me" like the entire visit.
Probably my youngest. He was obsessed with that song, and he would dance to it.
It might have been him, yeah.
Yeah. But I adore Space Ghost Coast to Coast. It is one of my all time favorite shows. It is very funny. I'm thinking about the episode where, if you don't know the old Space Ghost 70s show, he had like two teen sidekicks, a little monkey, and the two teens come back to sue him one episode for child endangerment and all this stuff. It's very funny. Just a very funny show. And up on the housetop, click, click, click. I can only hear the Zorak version now. He's like, click, click, click. I hear that in my head.
Zorak's the bug, right?
Yeah, the green bug. Yeah.
Oh, that's another thing that I remember. I remember whenever we would come sleep over at your all's house, whenever like our parents would go out of town, and you had like your desk filled with Brack and Zorak and Space Ghost figures.
Yeah.
and I wasn't
The-
allowed to touch them.
yeah, they're all broken now. My kids made sure to break them, but I do have a nice picture on my wall of Brack and Space Ghost and everybody. So you know, I wish I still had those figures, but oh well. But yeah, I really like this Christmas special. Just the villains trying to sing and they're singing off key and everything's all messed up. It's a lot of fun. All right, I think this is the last one for you on your
Yes, it is.
list. Um, and you just said any Shane Black movie,
Pretty much.
or
Um,
yeah,
so Shane Black is one of my favorite writers, one of my favorite directors. Um, and for some reason, almost every single one of his films take place during Christmas time. So Lethal Weapon 1 and 2 both take place during Christmas time. Um, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which you see right here, takes place during Christmas time. Iron Man 3 takes place during Christmas time.
mhm.
The Nice Guys, The Nice Guys being my favorite film of all time, takes place during Christmas time, sort of. Um, but yeah, it's any Shane Black movie, it takes place during Christmas time, and I think what he has said is it's a nice dichotomy because it's supposed to be very cheerful during Christmas time, and so it makes the dichotomy for his movies to be very interesting. Um, for those of you who don't know, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, starring Robert Downey Jr., this was actually technically his first film back. This was actually the movie that got him Iron Man,
Okay,
which is why, because they're like, oh man, will this guy be reliable? And then Shane Black can go and be like, hey, I just made this movie with him. Absolutely, he is reliable. You can count on this guy. And that is actually what got Shane Black Iron Man 3. So a nice
nice,
full circle thing.
right?
Um, but no, it, any Shane Black movie is a lot of fun. Very family oriented, honestly, which is also cool about Shane Black movies. I maybe not Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, but The Nice Guys, is about a father and a daughter. Um, Iron Man 3 is very family oriented. Of course, the Lethal Weapon movies are extremely family oriented. Um, and I'm a big fan of Shane Black movies. And they are my favorite Christmas movies. Yes, Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Yes, Gremlins is a Christmas movie. Yes, Batman Returns is a Christmas movie. And yes, every Shane Black movie is a Christmas movie, except for The
Yeah,
Predator. That movie sucks. But yeah, I love these. If you haven't, I would say the easiest movie to get into with Shane Black is probably the first Lethal Weapon. Um, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is and the Nice Guys. Although I like them more, they're a little weirder, and so it'll be harder to get into. And I already know for a fact that everyone watching this has already seen Iron Man 3. So
yeah,
um, and I love Iron Man 3. It's if you know that I love Shane Black, it's honestly no surprise that I love Iron Man 3. Um, because at that point it's more about the style and the way the director makes the movie than anything else. And so it's really the Shane Black isms in Iron Man 3 are why I love it. Um, so yeah, uh, my favorite Christmas movies, Shane Black movies.
there you go. All right, so for my last one, um, everybody knows a Charlie Brown Christmas. Uh, it's kind of like the staple of Christmas specials. So I went with an obscure Charlie Brown Christmas special that most people don't talk about, and that's "I Want a Dog for Christmas," Charlie Brown. It is one of the later specials.
Does this have
Um,
rerun in it?
yeah. So this is
Okay.
about rerun bugging Charlie Brown, like, "Oh, can I play with your dog? Oh, I want a dog," and eventually he gets annoyed with Snoopy's antics. Like, oh, Snoopy's too much of a hassle. Because let's face it, uh, Snoopy's an a-hole.
It's great. I love it.
You have Charlie Brown, who's this nervous wreck, and just worries about everything, and then you have his a-hole dog that's doing everything that Charlie Brown wishes he could do. This I don't care attitude, and just being a complete jackhole. So, uh, but yeah, this special is a lot of fun. There's actually, I think, 4 Snoopy Christmas specials. Um, but I
Maybe
think
I've only seen these two.
there's it's Christmas time again, and Christmas Tales, and then this one. I think this is one of the better ones, though. Um,
Yeah,
so
I may actually prefer this one over the one that everyone watches, but that might just be because I've seen the other one so many times. So this one is a
yeah, this one's a little bit more modern.
yeah.
Um, you know, uh, I mean, Charlie Brown Christmas is a masterpiece. It was a Let's talk about that for a minute. The studios were like, this will be a flop. No one, and, like, go ahead, let him do whatever. This will be seen once and never seen again. And they're like, oh yeah, you can't talk about baby Jesus in a you know a kid special for Snoopy, but whatever, we'll let you do it. And then it became a classic. It was supposed to be a failure, and it was a huge, huge hit. You
Yeah.
know,
Now, the fact that every church that has ever existed decides to play that clip every Christmas season, that's neither here nor there. But no, it's good. It's nice. And I think the Peanuts still works. Because that 2015 the Peanuts movie, I love that movie.
yeah, these are. That's the thing about Charlie Brown. It's kind of like Spider-Man. Everybody can kind of relate to him. Everybody has issues and problems and worries and anxiety. And when you're real little, you're like, oh, Snoopy's cool, and then you get older, you're like, oh, I get Charlie Brown way more.
Yeah. You know
I
what I think is oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I just gonna say it's just everybody can relate to Charlie Brown.
Yeah, it so it's like I would assume it's the way kids feel about the Diary of a Wimpy Kid now.
Yeah,
Um,
I can see that.
that's kind of theirs. Um, what's nice about me is I'm kind of in the middle where I get
Hmm.
both. um,
Yeah,
but it's definitely one of those things where it's like, okay, yeah, yeah, growing up, yeah, like why is everyone on Greg so much? And then you grow up and it's like, oh man, Greg is not a good friend. Rowley's the best.
oh yeah, yeah.
um,
Um,
and then you get even older and you're like, I want to be like Roger. I'm 26 and I want to be like Roger when I grow up.
now which one is Roger? Is he the older
Yeah, he's the older
brother?
brother.
Okay.
He's hilarious.
Yeah, I've seen the first movie. I guess it's been a while, but yeah,
Okay.
um, yeah. There, you for our younger viewers, you look at some of these older characters like Snoopy or Popeye and stuff, and you're like, okay, whatever. But there's a reason these characters are popular. Go back and watch the old stuff. You'll be amazed at some of the stuff that you will find.
And can we just talk about like the brilliance in simplicity that is Snoopy's character design?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like you take away all of like the like this I think you take away like maybe 4 details and he's just like a white blob.
Yeah, yeah,
But it's the beauty and simplicity.
yeah. It is. I mean, I think we saw them do it with South Park. This very simple
Mhm.
animation. That's what Charlie Brown was. It was very simple drawing style. It's very simple to animate. And that's why we have so many Snoopy specials. It was very simple to to make those, and they were very popular.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that's part of the reason that you get that you want to make and barring Tumblr. Okay, let's forget the Tumblr exists for a second.
Mhm.
Let's be very wholesome about this. You make your characters simple in like art style, kids will draw your character, and
Oh,
I think that is part of the success.
well, and here I'm gonna pull up a picture because we're on a totally different topic, but you know what? That's what we do.
And we're still talking about Snoopy.
Yeah. Um, I think it's Matt Groening who has said if you have a good cartoon character when you can recognize it with no features. So if you could just look at the shape of the character and instantly know who it is,
Mm-hmm.
then you have designed a great cartoon character. And
I'm. I wonder if I can. Okay, so we got Marge Simpson, we got Yogi, we got Stewie, we got Popeye, Mr. Krabs, Charlie Brown, Bugs. That is. I almost said Jetsons. That's Wilma.
uh huh,
Mighty Mouse.
uh huh.
Okay, I recognize the moose, but I never watched
That's
it, so I don't know his name.
Bullwinkle.
Bullwinkle. Then you've got Otis right there, Goofy, Squidward, Dexter, Snoopy, Mojo Jojo, Olive Oil, and Pink Panther. Boom, I did it.
Yeah. Well, you said Otis. It's Odie, but that's fine.
Oh.
Um, but yeah, I mean, he has a point that if you have a character that you can just see the silhouette and instantly know who it is, then you've done it right.
Mhm.
And I mean, you know, you take any classic character almost. I mean, like I think like Speed Racer or like Johnny Quest, you probably couldn't do, but you know,
Yeah.
for the most part, that is true.
At that point though, with especially with Speed Racer, you have to give them like a an iconic pose, and everyone know. I won't say
Right.
everyone knows, but we all know.
If you're
The
familiar with that character, then you would
yeah,
know who it is. Yeah.
yeah, the finger up in the air, and it's across his body. It's such a cool pose.
But I mean,
Um,
even this, where I only see half the bodies, I know who all these people are.
oh yeah,
You
we got
know?
SpongeBob, Roadrunner. I think that's Mickey up there.
Yeah,
Uh, oh, it's Ren and Stimpy. I didn't even notice that.
yeah, yeah. So I
Uh,
mean,
yeah, definitely. I think, and if I'm being completely honest, I think growing up in the 2000s, because one thing that I have noticed is that people my age actually like DC more than Marvel. Um,
yeah, you had the cartoons.
right, right. Now, and here's the thing: there were Marvel cartoons,
They
but
weren't any
like
good. There were
I,
exceptions, but for the most
I,
part, they were terrible.
I thought X Men Evolution was really good. But
Yeah, yeah.
uh, but other than that, like Bruce Timm's art style is so angular and simple that
Hmm.
children can draw that. You can like, and even then, like you said, the silhouettes. You can point out the silhouettes of the intro to the Justice League was their silhouettes.
Right. Yeah, he knew who they were exactly.
Yeah. And so it was so like simple and angular that
Well, and here's where DC has dropped the ball. I have had, church. I work a lot with, smaller kids, and I think we had like a Superman figure, and the kids were like, "Who's that?"
that's
And it's
upsetting.
like that is. I feel like this is the first generation who doesn't know who Superman is since he was created, and that is how much DC has dropped the ball. Because when I was a kid, everybody knew who Superman was.
Do you
Everybody.
of course, we are definitely on a different subject now. Do you think it's because that DC animation is now for us instead of kids?
Well, I think part of it is my kids, and I know most kids do not watch cartoons the way we did. Like I mean, they know the main ones like SpongeBob or Fairly Odd Parents, but for the most part, kids are playing Roblox or on YouTube. They don't watch cartoons, and
Yeah.
so like when I was a kid, everybody knew who Superman was. Everybody knew he came from the planet Krypton. Everybody knew everything, and now that's gone. So that's why I'm saying let's tie it back to the beginning of our show. That's why James Gunn has to nail the Superman movie, has to make it simple where everybody understands. Oh, he's from planet. Keep it to the original story. He's from planet Krypton. He's da 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 da. Because this is going to be the first introduction for most people to Superman.
Yeah. Well,
Eh,
and that's another weird thing is like a lot of uh kids don't know Luke Skywalker, so their first Jedi is Ahsoka.
or Anakin, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm
That
like,
that
Anakin's Vader. What are you talking about? Luke? No, it's
yeah,
Luke. And they're like, look at you weird. Obi-Wan. I'm like, well, he was the old guy that died in the first movie.
yeah.
It's Luke. What are you talking about?
You know, I will say that's one of my favorite things about Cameron Monaghan as Cal Kestis is whenever Jedi Fallen Order first came out, he's like, I'm taking this very seriously and very near and dear to my heart because my character Cal is going to be some kid's first Jedi. And I'm like, oh man, this guy gets it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So I I think if they do Superman movie right and it's full of hope, I think that's what the world needs right now is hope. And
and here's the thing
if you
I
do
need
that
it.
right, it'll be a smash hit. It'll be
I need this
huge.
movie to be about hope, and I don't need you to make a joke about the S, okay?
No, I mean, and I say this all the time. They just need to go back and watch Superman animated series and just do that.
Yeah.
just do that, and it's. I mean, you don't have to do like the same visuals and everything and the style or whatever, but just the characterization. Just do that. We're good.
I mean, and go back and watch Richard Donner's Superman. Like, I still think one of my favorite moments in film history is, "Don't worry, I've got you. You've got me. Who's got you?" I love it.
And also, go back and read. What is it? Is it All Star Superman? There's some great moments in that.
Yeah.
That
Uh, I what I would do, read All Star, read oh, what's his name? The guy that you keep telling me that we're gonna read some of his of Fantastic Four.
Mark Wade.
No, no, older.
Hick, John Byrne. John Byrne.
John
Yeah,
Byrne.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Read
yeah.
John Byrne's Man of Steel.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And absolutely, absolutely read Peter Tomasi's Superman.
yeah. And and then after you read all that, go, oh, cool. Don't say I'm going to subvert expectations now. No, we're showing you a blueprint of how to do it.
They
We
read
beat.
Tomas they read Tomasi's Superman and they're like, okay, he's got a kid and he's got uh, a wife. Oh man, this is so cool. What if I subvert their expectations and have Superman cheat on her?
Yeah, yeah. I think that's kind of what Bendis like. Oh, we're introducing this girl that Superman that's for you Superman. You're like, no, we don't. No, we don't need this.
That just let Superman have the family. Honestly, I wouldn't mind if we and I don't know if this is a hot take. I wouldn't mind if maybe we didn't have a full-on origin for Superman if we just went on and let him have his family in the first movie.
uh, I say take your time with the character. You don't have to rush into those stories. you
I,
know,
I guess yeah, I don't see it as rushing, I guess. I just
well then, but it's like if you skip those stories, then you've lost those stories. You do not now. You do not get to tell those stories. We have skipped those. We've moved on.
true. True.
So I like for me, I'm like take your time. It's kind of like the Peter Parker getting married because once he's married, he's married.
Yeah.
So uh,
Also, do not James, do not be afraid of Mr. McYespitlick. You can do that in a movie, I
oh no,
promise.
I don't think James is scared of any character.
No, no, no. He did polka dot, man.
he made Ratcatcher a lovable character that was our everybody's favorite character by the end of that movie. Okay.
I know we're circling back to James Gunn towards the end here, but do you think that he accepts that he's gonna have to scrap his Suicide Squad stuff and Idris Elba can't come back and John Cena can't come back? Do you think he accepts all that?
Yeah, I think he
Okay,
does because look at the toy box you get to play in now. He was
sure,
stuck
yeah,
in this little toy box, and now he gets. If he makes that small sacrifice, now he gets everybody, and that's not to say that he can't cast Idris Elba as somebody else going forward. I think that's what he said to Henry Cavill. He's like, "Oh, we'll be in touch," you know.
Mhm.
I don't know who he would play, but speaking of Henry Cavill,
Booster Gold.
sure. Um, I think if I'm Marvel, I'm on the phone with Henry Cavill right now to either play Captain Britain or Hyperion.
So
you know.
I would rather Captain Britain. I
Oh yeah.
don't because Hyperion, that's crazy bad guy Superman, right?
Depends on which story you're telling, but yeah, more extreme version of Superman,
Yeah.
sure.
I I don't need that character just in general.
No. Well, and I
Um,
think if you do that character, he's more of just a one-off story. You're not going to build a whole franchise on him unless you're going to do the big Squadron Supreme story. But
I've heard about it though. I've heard about some
yeah,
Squadron Supreme.
I bought the book at Ollie's for $5. It was pretty good.
um, so last question, and then we'll go ahead
Uh huh.
and end on this. So we're back to DC, everyone. We went from Snoopy to Batman. That's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if your game's gun, do you do Batman or Superman first?
Which movie do I do first? I think it has to be Superman. I think
Okay.
Superman is the foundation. Superman is DC, and then Batman is number two. So
Okay. Okay.
I think you
I,
have to get Superman right. Like I said, then get Batman right, then everything else is gold. Then after that, if you
mhm.
screw up a character here or there, who cares? You've got the main core correct.
Now, one thing that I would prefer is in I don't you can do Superman first followed by Batman, but in a sort of like canon, I don't need to know which happens first. I don't need to know who the first public superhero
Oh
is.
no, I don't care about any of that. No.
Yeah. Well, and by that I mean if we do a Batman movie, I don't need Alfred to be like, "Oh, you want to be like that fellow in Metropolis?" Or yeah, I don't need that, you know. Just let it be a Batman movie.
Yeah.
um, which I honestly I think James Gunn. I think that's what's going to make James Gunn a better head than Kevin Feige is because I think James Gunn is just going to let people make movies.
Yeah, everything needs to be. One of the complaints I've heard about Marvel Phase 4 is where's it's going? Where's it going? And I really don't care. I just want good stories.
Right? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Um,
care if Thor has nothing to do with everything else. Just tell me an amazing story. But instead, everybody's
yeah.
like, "Oh, what does that have to do with Kang?" I don't care.
Now I do think that that is one of the problem. Another problem with Phase Four is they're not telling great stories.
No, that's
So,
the problem. If you
so
would tell great stories, I don't care about the continuity.
yeah, and I think that's the way it is with everyone. I think the reason that they're holding on to Kang so much is because, okay, so this story wasn't great, so it has to mean something for Kang somehow. What does it mean?
Yeah,
So I think the reason they're holding on to Kang is because they're not telling great stories. I think
right.
if they,
And I think that the connective tissue and all of this stuff right now is we're setting up Dark Avengers and Young Avengers or Thunderbolts and Young Avengers or whatever. That's all these movies are doing. They're just introducing characters.
yeah,
Um, and that is the connective tissue. Not really a threat yet. I think eventually we'll get to Kang and all that, but right now it's just introducing characters that
r-
they're going to play with
right
later.
now it is just Elaine.
Yep,
Um,
Elaine or junior sidekicks. That's all it's really doing right now is
yeah.
introducing.
I don't know if you care and we're far enough. She was in Black Panther. Um, pretty. She was like a
Yeah,
character in Black Panther.
they actually
Um,
gave her scenes and lines and stuff. Yeah,
yeah, no, she
and
was fine in Black Panther.
and then I heard that the end credit scene introduces another young Avenger type character. So
Um,
I
if
don't
you
know if
want to
he's
go
old
ahead and
enough, but yeah, full
so if
spoilers for Wakanda Forever.
here we go.
If you've made it this far
So
into the show,
I think this is their way of recasting Chadwick Boseman.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
it is Nakia's son who is also named T'Challa. So what you're doing is you're letting Shuri take up the reins, as Black Panther for a little bit, and then once this kid gets old enough, maybe about 17 or so, 17, 18, that's your new
Hmm.
T'Challa, King T'Challa Black Panther, because he's technically,
Yeah.
the heir and whatnots. And so whenever I saw that, I'm like, okay, you got me. That's a good way of recasting the character without
Yeah.
completely recasting the character.
And from what I've heard, the rumor mill is that Wakanda 3 is going to be about Storm. That it's going to be a Storm movie.
Which I'm totally
So
down for.
sure. I don't necessarily love them connecting Storm to Wakanda all the time, but yeah, I mean that's
I
if you're looking for another character, that's fine.
I guess more than that, I'm just sad that they're doing it this quickly.
Yeah, I mean, the Marvel movies tend to be trilogies. So I think that they're like, oh, we got to finish the trilogy. And I'm kind of like, no, you don't have to. I'm fine if there's just one Captain Marvel movie. You don't have to do three, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so
I mean, at this point,
it's weird. They tend to be
Thor's
trilogies, but then they broke the rules with Thor.
yeah. So Thor is a quadrilogy, and there's only one Hulk movie, and there's a Hulk show. Um,
Well, Hulk doesn't really
like,
count per se, but
and then if you think about it,
all right, we are way.
uh, 2 hours, man. You know what this is? This is like, hey, we're not going to be here for like 2 or 3 weeks, so that's what's
Yeah,
happening here.
I was gonna say we are way off topic, and this is typically our after show where we just ramble about stuff. So let's
Yeah.
go ahead and let's go ahead and end this. We hope everybody has a wonderful Christmas and happy
Yes.
holidays. Um, Again, check on your friends and family. It's a rough time for everybody. Not everybody, but some people really go through it at this time of year. So just check on each other,
Everyone's got
love one
something
another.
going on.
Yeah, yeah. So just be kind to one another. And until then, I've been Final Monkey,
And I'm Caleb.
and we will see you in about 3 weeks. Talk to you then. Bye.
See ya.